And welcome back to another edition of On the Board Sports. I am your host, Will Chiarucci, a.k.a. Will C., coming to you from Gotham Podcast Studios in Manhattan, New York. And I'm joined by the one and only Spencer, controlling the ones and twos behind the glass here at Gotham. Spencer is a good guy. Haven't seen him in a while. He's doing good. Can't complain. Hope you guys are enjoying your holiday as well. And thank you for listening to On the Board Sports. Joining me, though, is a very special guest. She is from the Yes Network, and I'm talking with the one and only Nancy Newman. Nancy, how are you?
Hello, Will. I'm well. Hope you are too.
Absolutely. We're doing great here at Gotham, and it's really a good time. And, thank you for
you
coming
too,
on
Spencer.
today.
Appreciate you.
Everybody's doing good. This is the first time we actually had a producer come on our show and just talk for a couple seconds. So it's good. So it's
oh, nice.
Yeah. So he's the inaugural producer to talk. So we've had on a couple of producers that really haven't mentioned anything, but that's okay. Nancy, before we talk about, what's gone on, I know today it's Wednesday. I know you were out covering the whole Geritt Cole coverage day with the Yes Network and everything like that at Yankee Stadium. But I want to know how you got into sports, number one. And number two, what made you want to get into sports?
Oh, I thought we were going to start with Geritt Cole since that's what I just came home from. Can we start there?
Well,
and then go to me?
Well, we want to talk about you first because you're more important, than what's going on with Geritt Cole because you're on our show. You're on our program. We always like to hear about what and how people got to where they are right now. So the floor is yours.
I was half kidding.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, much like you, I suppose, and all of us that do this for a living, it's the love of my life, right? So I was a big sports fan. My dad was a big sports guy. I was a figure skater. I was a competitive figure skater when I was a kid. So it appealed to me. I just felt drawn to it. I really didn't know any other way. You know that feeling?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, as I went through school, I didn't think about being on air per se. I did know that I liked sports. I majored in English, thought perhaps I would be a writer, but somehow wanted to be involved in sports. And then my journey took me quickly to CNN, which was wonderful. What an experience that was. And then right into Yes Network. So I've really had the two major jobs, and I feel extremely fortunate, and I love it to this day every bit as much as I did day one.
Hey, and you're from the tri-state area, right, or no?
Yes, Niagara region. Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. So you come and you have your roots deep ties in New York and all that. So that's great. That's great that you've been on the Yes Network. Now it's going to be almost 18 years since the Yes Network first aired its programming in 2002 for the Yankees and for the Nets. Nancy, what's it been like working? Being a female and being on TV and all that.
What a wonderful place to be. The Yankee family is so special because they treat you like family, and that's why none of us really leave once we arrive, And the same is true within the organization, not just the broadcast wing, which is Yes Network, and we are back under Yankees ownership, which is also nice, again. So it's just a wonderful place to be. And if you love the Yankees, which I do and always have, and if you love sports, it's the family atmosphere coupled with the greatness that can't be matched. No other franchise, really, certainly not in North America. You can get into the soccer franchises around the world, but in our world, nothing matches the Yankees.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing matches the Yankees. And speaking of the Yankees and not matching anything, Geritt Cole is a New York Yankee. A lot of Yankee fans are very happy about this move. It's a 9-year deal, $324 million. There was one thing where it came out today that it could be a 10-year deal worth about $360 million if he opts out. The Yankees can void that opt-out and add another year onto his contract. But you were there today at Yankee Stadium, Nancy, and you got to experience the whole thing. I want to get it from you. How was Yankee Stadium today, being there at the press conference for Geritt Cole?
It was great. It was exciting, but in a very orderly way. It wasn't out of control. It just felt right in every way. And the gentleman on the dais, it was really interesting to watch everyone walk in. We had been anticipating this for a couple of days now, obviously. So to finally see it happen, and I really just wanted to hear him speak. I wanted to get a feel for the guy. You know, you see him on other outlets, etc., but to see him live and to see him handle that situation, and it's a lot about presence as well. You can learn a lot about people just by the way they hold themselves, don't you think?
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's so supremely confident, but with zero bravado. And that's an interesting combination to me.
Absolutely. And, the guys that come in, like, from years past, free agent signings, whether it be Masahiro Tanaka, whether it be CC Sabathia, and whether it be Mike Mussina, they all play pivotal roles in their regard and in their right so far in their Yankee tenure, respectively. Geritt Cole is still in his prime. He's 29. He's going to be 30 next year. What's your take on the whole Yankee outlook for next year? I know it's World Series or bust, Nancy, but do you see this team making it to the World Series? They are the favorite right now on paper.
Yeah, I think they have to be the favorite on paper, and I think they understand that. And I think that it kind of feels like this is the way that it should be. I'm getting a lot of reaction from fans along the lines of, okay, we're the Yankees again. Okay, the Empire is back. That sort of reaction. It feels like he should be a Yankee, and he said as much.
Mm-hmm. So basically what's going on right now with the Yankees too, they go out, they re-sign Brett Gardner, they got Geritt Cole, they got their guy. Do you see any other holes that are going to be filled throughout the winter, Nancy?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about, obviously, in terms of, as you're looking at it right now, CC Sabathia retires, in comes Geritt Cole. And then you got Severino and Tanaka. They've been shopping Hap. Let's see what happens with that. That will free up a lot of money. Brian Cashman is not a guy that leaves any stone unturned. He is exceptional at his work. I think we all agree there. They're looking at the outfield situation. I'm glad Brett Gardner is back because it certainly does not hurt to have a veteran presence like that in the clubhouse, especially minus CC. But something interesting, so many interesting things, Will. Sorry. So I know I was a little short on your first two questions because
It's okay.
literally just got home.
It's okay.
And we can revisit myself if you want to, but I was just so thinking about Geritt Cole because a lot of things were on top of mind. He said pressure is a privilege. That was the first time I ever heard that was when I was a kid and Billie Jean King said that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it stuck. And this is the first time I've really heard it since. And he said it with such authority, which was amazing. He's just the kind of guy you want to lead your rotation. And Aaron Boone added, I'm just as excited to see what he brings in the clubhouse and off the field as what he does on the field. That's the kind of stuff that I like to read between the lines. I just do. That's the way that I'm made up. And so, yes, the numbers are there for everyone. For some reason, I always like to look between the lines and see what I can pick up. And that leads my line of questioning. If I pick up on something about somebody, I'll go down that road.
Mm-hmm. Geritt Cole said it the best too today. You said it. Pressure is a privilege. Playing in New York is the biggest pressure cooker there is, with all the media and with all the fans and the win now mentality here in New York. Nancy, you look at this team right now that's in place. The pitching staff wasn't the reason why they lost the ALCS. Their hitting was atrocious. Batting with what runners in scoring position was 4 for like 20 or something like that. Some ridiculous number where it was below 200. And you look at everything right now. Do you see the Yankees improving? And they were one of the better hitting teams last year. But with all the injuries that had happened, we're not going to see a team like that with 30 guys go on the IL, basically get 103 wins. this team has a lot of pressure on them to succeed. Do you see, like I said, do you see this team, repeating the numbers with the roster that's in place right now?
Yeah, sure, I do. I hopefully feel that we won't see that kind of an injury-riddled campaign again.
Right.
None of us want to see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Aaron Boone is an exceptional leader. I think there's a lot of great talent in place. Glaber will move over to short, of course. DJ plugs right in at second. There's Voit and Ford right now. I know there's been talk about Schwarber, the lefty bat, all of that. Yes, the hitting went dry. We all know that. Hitting, that's what happens. But there's something about having that ace, that horse, that number one, that undeniable leader, like a Geritt Cole on the mound. You feel like you've got guaranteed 2 wins in a 7-game series, which changes the mindset and maybe even impacts the pressure hitters feel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy's got the stuff, no question about it. The guy
Right.
goes out there.
So I'm thinking he takes the pressure off everyone.
Absolutely. Takes the pressure off of Severino. Severino's still young.
Exactly. That was my next thought. Correct. Severino on down. It's a domino effect. He slots right in as number one, no question.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of taking pressure off, you got guys going in right now. They know what their 1 through 4 is like right now between having Cole, Severino, Paxton, and Tanaka. Okay. What's going on with that 5th spot?
Right now it's Hap, obviously. We have to wait and see what happens with Herman. No decision yet there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of young guys. There's a few guys in the system. We had Michael King on recently. And you never know with Brian Cashman. He may spin something. He may turn something into nothing. So we're going to have to wait and see, I think.
Oh, yeah. And what's going on in the farm system, too, with Devi Garcia. He was lights out at the Futures game. Everybody saw him, and here come all the scouts now. Here come all the people right now saying that this kid's the real deal. Do you see him actually coming up during the season?
I wouldn't be surprised. A lot will depend on how the season plays out and need, of course. But I don't think that's out of the question. I really don't. But there's no hurry either.
Right. And speaking of a guy with no hurry, Jordan Montgomery, guy coming off of surgery, lefty, can give you good quality 4 or 5 innings here. Do you see him being a factor here for that 5th spot as well, or is it Hap's job to lose?
I think Hap will have it if he's still on the roster, but he may not be. They may swing a trade.
Right.
That is an option. And Jordan Montgomery, they would love to see him fit right back in there. He was very effective when he was healthy, and he's a good guy, someone you want to root for.
Oh, yeah. Homegrown piece, homegrown talent.
Absolutely. Lefty, yes.
Absolutely right there.
Yes.
Nancy, you look at the Yankees and their dominance for the past 25 years, not having a losing record. You look at the other team across the river in the Mets and what they've done with their signing so far this year, getting guys on 1-year deals like Rick Porcello and Michael Wacha, getting a guy like Carlos Beltran in as their new manager, their 22nd manager in Met history. Nancy, what's your take on the Mets right now and what they've done, and especially now with new ownership probably going to be here in 5 years and Steve Cohen? What's your feelings on the Mets right now?
Yeah, there's so much going on over there. I'm definitely a fan of Carlos Beltran as a baseball man. He is an exceptional human being. I saw nothing but greatness from him while he was with the Yankees, even behind the scenes. He's one of those guys that you can call a baseball savant, much like Alex Rodriguez, who I just saw a couple days ago, by the way, too. He's doing great, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of respect for him. The ownership is what intrigues me. And if you really break it down, the Wilpons having control for the next 5 years, until Steve Cohen can take over, up to 80%, I believe it is. And even then, Will, that 80% is not an automatic. He has to be approved by the rest of the owners. So that's an additional process. It's not a slam dunk either. So there's so much in question, so much up in the air. I think they're trying to work it out. Carlos Beltran, I believe, is a good move. How do you see it?
I think with Carlos Beltran, he could be that guy that is, he's a player-friendly manager. And not only that, he could speak in multiple languages. He could speak in English. He could speak in Spanish. And many players that have been coming up have been mostly Latino. And with him being there, he could be the translator, if you will, to some of these players. Like, hey, look, listen, New York may be a pressure cooker. I played here with the Mets. I played here with the Yankees. I worked for the Yankees. Just take it easy. You guys will be fine. You guys will be all right, And not only that, the guy has played great in New York, so he knows what it takes to basically say, hey, look, if a guy's having an off night, don't worry about it, kid. You know what I mean? I got you in the interview or whatever the case may be. But jobs are on the line here, with the Mets as well. The Mets are trying to compete, and they haven't made it to the playoffs since 2016, and they were close last year, but if it wasn't for their bullpen in the first half of the year, they might have been like the Nationals. So who knows what could have happened. But with the Mets right now, I think it's the right move to bring in a guy like Carlos Beltran to right the ship here a little bit, if you can say that, Nancy.
I would have to agree. As I said, I'm definitely a fan of his. And baseball is a different world these days, too. There's so much parity. There's the wild card. We just saw the Nationals win everything.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more competitive than it was even a decade or certainly 20 years ago. It's just a different world. So things can turn around more quickly, I believe, also.
Oh, yeah. Like you just mentioned, the Nationals winning the World Series. How about, with all these teams right now, the past 5 winners outside of the Red Sox in 2018, you look at the Astros. They had a bad team in 2012, and they wound up getting a couple draft picks. They figured their way out. You look at the Cubs, same scenario. They were bad. They found their way out with the draft. The Royals, they were bad for a long time. And they found their way through the draft and finding guys like that. And the Giants as well. They were bad, for a couple of years. They found their way through, and they wound up winning 3 World Series in 5 years with the tandem with Bruce Bochy there as manager. But you're right. You got to find your way through the draft, and you got to find your way through hitting luck. Trying to get some situations going in place for them, and the Nationals did that this year. I mean, think about what the Nationals did here for a second. They go into Los Angeles, right? They go out and they beat the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Then they go out and they beat the Cardinals, even though they swept the Cardinals. The Cardinals still won the Central. And then they go out and they play probably the best team in all of baseball in Houston, the way how they did, and win all their games on the road. That's impossible. But yet they managed to do it.
Very exciting. I was rooting for them in a casual kind of way.
Right.
It was great drama, and it was well deserved and well earned. Mm-hmm. And I think all those points you just mentioned are one of the reasons why I believe the Yankees deserve such praise for what they've done, and that is staying competitive throughout.
Yeah. I mean, 25
there
years.
There is no rebuild. There is no real down year.
Right.
They're right there. There's possibilities every single year, if not expectations.
Right.
So that's why this franchise is like no other.
Absolutely. And, they go out and back in 2016, they traded away a couple key pieces to get back a couple of prospects. You heard it all over the media. They got guys back. It's 2019. Well, the rebuild, the winning started in 2017 when nobody expected it.
Yeah, the baby bombers.
Right.
They started coming up.
Right, and they did. And they did come up.
Yes.
They did.
They did.
And they were one game away. They were one game away from making it to the World Series. You know it. You cover the Yankees.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I'm hearing Andujar is looking great. That's what I've been hearing.
Right.
I'm looking forward to seeing him in February down in Tampa, that's for sure. But by all accounts, he's looking tremendous. He's working real hard. He may even get some reps at first. So there's a lot in play, which makes it so exciting and interesting, too.
You talk about Miguel Andujar. We know about Miguel Andujar's bat and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about Clint Frazier here for a second with you because I know he could be that guy. He has the quick hands. The problem is with him, and we've seen it throughout all over on national television, is his ability to play the ball in the outfield. From what we've seen, is there a way that he could get that, get a platoon with Brett Gardner in left field? Can he be that guy? Can he be, that energy coming off the bench, or are we going to see him in the minor leagues again?
That's so hard to predict, Will. There is the Stanton situation, firstly, right?
Right.
And then there's Tauchman, and they're very high on Tauchman. And I would be more surprised than not if he wasn't back with the team in a real way. So I expect him to get the most play. You sound like a Frazier fan. Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say to a degree because of what we've seen from the plate. We got to see it, Nancy, in 2017 with his fast hands in such a small sample size. The guy won a game against Milwaukee back in July of 2017 with his quick hands, hitting the game-winning home run against them. And he could hit for average. There's no question about it. The thing is, with everything that's in the way, the Yankees, I feel as if they're more of a power hitting team than they are a contact hitting team, And that's the one thing with me that, look at the Astros and look at all the other teams that I just rattled off before and how they won the World Series. You got to have guys that could go out there and hit for contact. The Yankees.
Well, that's what DJ LeMahieu does.
Right.
But he's just one person.
Right.
Right.
He's just one person, but. You look at those guys. Once it comes to October, hey, you can't be swinging for the fences. The 18 Red Sox, look what they did. You saw it. You saw it, Nancy, firsthand. It's crazy.
I was at an event just before the playoffs started, and who was there? Mariano was there. Was Alex there? I don't remember if he was at that one. Mariano certainly. Tino was there. Joe Girardi even was there.
Right.
And I asked them that very question. I said, can they hit their way to a World Series? Every one of them said yes. So I think that they can. To circle back to an earlier point we both made together, when you've got a Geritt Cole as your headliner, as your ace, as your horse going out there, perhaps that relaxes the team enough to get them over the top. It's possible. But I understand what you're saying. It's a great point. It's well argued and valid.
Right.
You need contact hitters, and that's why they went out and got DJ LeMahieu.
Right.
Will Clint Frazier be another? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I know they're high on Tauchman. I can say that.
Right. And to go back to Cole, remember, I could look at Roger Clemens when Clemens was here, and he took a lot of pressure off the young guys, whether it be Andy Pettit, Mariano, all those guys. He went out there and he did his job. That's the same thing what Cole's probably going to do here in New York, but only time will tell.
And not just the pitching staff. I think he takes the pressure off everyone.
Right. It could definitely be that, 100%. It could definitely be that thing, taking a lot of pressure.
And he looks like he knows it and he wants it. And that's so important because that's another thing about judging character. This is a guy that wants the moment. This is a guy that burns to win. This is a guy that felt 8 outs away from a World Series, didn't get there, left angry, and wants to right that wrong.
Right.
And, hey, let's hope he does it in New York.
Absolutely. When, guys, see what happens there. Nancy, I want to talk to you now about the whole winter meetings, okay, and what had happened and what had transpired in what was it, San Diego that they were in? right?
Yes, San Diego.
Okay,
Yep.
they were in San Diego for the winter meetings. We know that Geritt Cole got his big deal. Anthony Rendon got it just as equal of a big deal with the Anaheim Angels, or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Crazy
Yes.
deal there. And there were
Because he said the Dodgers weren't his kind of town.
that's crazy. That's crazy
Right.
to say that, you know. But what
I
what's
mean, it's same town, but not really. Yeah.
yeah. But what's been your take, and what's been your whole reaction to the whole winter meetings outside of the whole Geritt Cole saga?
So interesting, right? Last year we saw Harper and Machado just linger and hang, and where are they going to land? And then, finally they find a place to call home. It took forever. They didn't get the kind of deals they hoped they would get, and Scott Boras did an about face and completely changed strategies, didn't he?
Yeah.
He wrapped up the deals. Oh my gosh. Geritt Cole's off the table during the winter meeting.
Yeah.
A total about face. And now Bumgarner's in Arizona, the activity, it's exciting, and it's nice to see the money being thrown around. It's exciting. I like it. I think it's good for baseball.
Absolutely, it is, and especially seeing a guy like a Madison Bumgarner going over to Arizona. A lot of people were scratching their heads on social media and asking, why would he go to Arizona? Arizona was second in the West, and they ranked just about in the middle of the pack in the NL when it came to hitting. The problem was their pitching, and after they traded away Zach Greinke over to Houston, they wound up finding a way to make it just about almost making it into that wild card spot. It's crazy. They could definitely win that division next year if all goes right and everything falls according to plan for them.
Yes, they've got a great manager, and Bumgarner also said that was his number one choice of destination. Whether it's true or not, we'll never know, but that's what he said. So it's a good fit. I'm happy for him.
I'm happy for him too. It brings a lot of experience over for
sure does.
for the
And
D-backs.
he's still bringing it and still doing it in the mid-30s. So good for him and Verlander.
Absolutely. Was there one team that kind of disappointed you at the winter meetings at all?
I guess I look at it like it's not quite done. I mean, that's just a week's worth. We're still just in December. There's still a lot more time to go here before spring training. I think we're going to see a lot more happen, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to see a couple more deals happen, you know.
So I'm kind of a big picture kind of person. So I kind of wait it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, but with everything that's gone on between the Yankees and the Mets and the whole winter meetings, you know, it's nice to see some parity back in baseball, you know, for the past couple of years anyway, trying to see a World Series winner every year being different. You know, we haven't had a World Series winner repeat since the Yankees in 2000. It's crazy.
Right. That's why the Nationals were an interesting story. I enjoyed watching that play out as much as I can if it's not the Yankees. I'm happy for Dave Martinez and obviously Max Scherzer. He's great.
Absolutely.
How can you not love that guy?
Heck, even Ryan Zimmerman and Howie Kendrick, they've been longtime vets. They've been longtime vets playing for the Nationals. It's crazy.
Yep. Forever. And finally, I'm happy for a lot of guys over there. Very much so.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of the Yes Network, and since you work for the Yes Network, Nancy, what's been your take on the Brooklyn Nets so far this year?
I'm having fun. We're all having fun. They're doing well, obviously, right? They're an interesting team to watch. Spencer Dinwiddie at the controls is an interesting guy. He likes to talk, which is entertaining. They've got a real good chemistry. And I know people are saying we don't need Kyrie. Maybe he'll mess it up when he comes back. You know, you can't think that way.
No.
You gotta hope that if you're a Nets fan, that these guys are getting valuable experience. They're getting in great minutes, and when Kyrie comes back, they'll be a more confident, more developed bunch. And hopefully they'll find their way. I understand why it's so difficult to play with Kyrie, though. Watching him, you just don't know what he's going to do next. I don't know how much he follows set plays here and there, but you just don't know what he's going to do with the ball. Until they get used to him, it takes time.
Absolutely. What's been the best thing about the NBA season so far for you, Nancy? Because TV ratings have been down in the NBA
Yeah.
nationally,
Hmm.
and it's everybody talks about Christmas time being the real opening day for the NBA. But what's been so far your favorite thing about this NBA year so far?
Um, the Lakers has been interesting with LeBron. I like watching Uninterrupted. Do you watch that, by the way?
I do not. I do not.
Okay, okay. It's interesting. If you ever have time, just check it out. It's usually on Saturday nights, I believe, HBO.
Right.
Cece Sabathia was on the most recent episode with LeBron,
Mm-hmm.
and they just air it out. They'll just say anything, and it's much like you're eavesdropping, and I'm sure that's the intent. But the Lakers is interesting. I like the Bucks. I like the Bucks a lot. I would say those two storylines are the ones I watch most outside of the. Sorry, there's a leaf blower right outside my window, so ignore that.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, and the Knicks, well, they won big yesterday, so it's interesting to watch the Knicks, and it's interesting to hear the Nets say they want to be New York's team. So all the power to them. Obviously, we carry the Nets, so it is nice to see them do well.
Yeah, I mean they're holding down the 7th spot right now in the Eastern Conference, and without
the
Kyrie Irving,
playoffs are the plan.
yeah, they're doing their thing. Real quick, Nancy, what do you think about the NBA's format now, what they're trying to do, how they're trying to tinker the playoff system here, trying to get the top 16 teams in, like almost a tournament style of play? Do you like that in a sense or not really?
I don't mind reseeding after the first round. I have to see how things play out. I'm not one to make rash decisions like that. I don't mind that the way that it is. I know a lot of teams make the playoffs as it is, but I'm okay with it. I don't think it's really broken, but I'm not against progress either. So I'm open to listening to rules changes. Gosh, we've seen a lot of that in baseball over the years.
Right.
Oh, yeah. What do you think of that? Sorry, is it okay to ask you?
You go ahead and ask me. You go ahead and ask me.
Yeah, like now the 26-man, I think that's great. The 26-man roster, I think that's sensational. I think that's really great. And the limited number of September call-ups, that's really good too. I'm interested to see how the whole reliever situation and the 3-batter minimum plays out.
Yeah.
What do you think, Will?
I think the 3-batter minimum is great. It speeds up the game. I know people love talking about time, and especially in this world right now, Nancy, that we live in where, we live in an ADHD world, where we can't focus in on one thing, where we change the channel every 5 seconds. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. And you're seeing baseball numbers at ballparks drop, in a sense, up until when October comes around. But that also too comes with ticket prices. But that's whether here nor there. I think it's great for the game if it can help out in a sense, But also too with the whole roster situation that comes in place, you're actually setting a roster right now. You're setting a roster from here on out with the 26th man. You're not having the 40-man roster anymore in September with all these call-ups trying to. Right. And I feel bad for some of those guys in a sense too, that are trying to fight their way and try to not only make a job for their team but for their future employer here as well. But there's a sense of, for the fan watching it and for the team, hey, you know what? You got to go out there and just play the games. That's it. You can't worry about what's going on.
Yeah, and talk about speeding up play. Nothing slowed it down further than having that many options to go to. Oh, my goodness, right?
Yes. You got now it eliminates the lefty specialist coming out of the pen to go up against the lefty hitter.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more specialist anymore. There isn't.
No.
You got to go out there and play a full inning.
Yeah, that's the way it is now. I saw, like I said, especially during the off season, I see a lot of the alumni. Just saw Mariano again and Alex, and I like to ask them their thoughts, because that's how you learn. You learn from some of the best minds that ever played the game. Obviously, they're going to know more than anyone else. And I asked them about the roster changes, and most of them are in support. I think they like a lot of the changes. Most of them like the 26-man. There's maybe a split vote from what I've seen so far on the 3-batter minimum, waiting to see how that's going to play. Obviously, that's not an effect for injury.
Right.
But I guess we'll see. But I'm all right with the experimentation. Maybe baseball needs it more than the other sports. Would you agree with that?
I do, because baseball right now, it's actually, and we haven't even talked about the Astros. That's okay. I probably, what's been going on with them is just absolutely crazy. But they need
disturbing.
It is. It's very disturbing to actually, go out there and play the way how they did. But, we could probably save that for another time if that's all right with you.
Oh, sure. And we have to wait and see and make sure that they're found guilty before we charge them as such, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
You got to give John Boy his shout out too, Jimmy O'Brien from John Boy Media. We had him on our podcast for our Yankee preview, and he did a great job. He knocked it out of the park. But that guy works endlessly hard to put out quality content, and he did just that, and he's getting his just due for it as well.
He's incredible.
He's
incredible. He's such a talented guy. He's an amazing editor. He's just a gifted guy.
He is. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it, Nancy.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
I agree, 100%.
He knows what he's doing, and I've read the article on him in the Athletic. I've heard him on with Boomer and Gio. The guy is an absolute class act from where he came from. Make no mistake about it, and he's building himself up into something pretty good. I got to say that.
Yep, he brings a lot of unique things to the table. He's an interesting listen. He's a pioneer in his own way.
He is, absolutely.
Yep.
100%. 100% is. But to get back to the game and ways how to build up its viewership, you gotta, like, you look at the NBA and how they're doing it with their whole stars and how they're building up their stars. They have to do that. It's not about the teams anymore. I hate to say it like that. If they could put their money in advertising their stars, they have gold, But baseball is all about the team. In that sense.
Yeah. I don't know how you cure the fact of Mike Trout playing on the West Coast. That's tough, because baseball's a long game and all of that stuff. Yes, I believe in the stars. Yes, there are a lot of them, but Machado goes out to the Padres, and we haven't heard about him much since over here on the East Coast. I don't know why it works that way, but it seems to.
Well, it comes out to because he plays for the Padres. It's a pitcher's park. It's always a pitcher's haven out there in San Diego, and the emergence of Fernando Tatis Jr. out there, I think, kind of overshadowed him and his contract in a sense. And
but I get what you're saying, but still, Will, don't you think that we don't hear about the Padres and the Angels near as much? The Dodgers always, but even the Mariners, the West Coast teams, there's something to that.
Well, they got it, Nancy. They got to win. If they win games,
that's the only way.
If they win, look at the Athletics. The Athletics, year in and year out, for the past decade, have produced. They produce quality talent. But yet nobody talks about them because they're the Oakland Athletics. And when they win and they go out there and they produce guys like Matt Chapman and Matt Olson, guys like that, even the center fielder with the crazy arm, Brandon Lubriano, it's crazy, but yet they win games and they don't get mentioned. They don't get mentioned as much either.
Baseball and hockey of the big four are the most regional in nature that way.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Hey, I know you touched on hockey. Okay. I know you probably see my Instagram post. I'm going to keep it short.
Yes, you're crazy. You're an Islander fan. It's funny.
I love my Islanders. Shout out to the Blue and Orange Army too, by the way. So,
do you know our Glenn Giangrande? Do you know him?
No, I don't.
Okay. He's a crazy Islander fan. He's wonderful. He's our head writer
That's
at Yes
awesome.
Network.
That's awesome.
Yes,
Tell him to hook up with
you
me.
got to find him.
Tell him to come over to the Blue and Orange Army and hang out with us for a couple games. It'll be great.
Oh, he's always there. He's always there. He's fantastic. He's a great guy, a brilliant guy, and he's just as crazy for his Islanders as you are.
Absolutely. I just want to talk. I just want to touch base with you on this because out of all the rumors that we heard about during the offseason with baseball, the Islanders went on a crazy 17-point streak. It's 17 games with a point streak, and we probably won't see that again for another while. Why is it that the Islanders don't get that much love in the media? Number one, and number two, hockey in general. Hockey is a great sport.
I love hockey, but it's going to get down to that whole Knicks versus Nets, Rangers versus Islanders. It's a Rangers town primarily,
Right.
just like it's the Yankees over the Mets. So
Right.
you're kind of lost a bit in that shadow. I'm sorry, Will.
It's okay. Nancy, I get it 100%. We're the minor league team compared to the Rangers, the big bad Rangers, even though they're a point out of the wild card, a couple points out of that wild card spot.
Yeah. Well, there was a great run a couple decades ago, but you probably weren't even born back
No,
in those
I was
days.
not. I was not in existence for that, but I've heard some crazy stories. I watched
Clark
some
Gillies
videos.
and all those guys.
Yep, Butch Goring, Bobby Nystrom,
Yeah,
Dennis Potvin.
uh-huh.
Yeah, those
Mike Bossy.
Mike Bossy. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
growing
Uh-huh.
up. Growing up for you upstate though. Who was the team that you rooted for?
Oh, the Buffalo Sabres. I'm a Buffalo girl. So I love the Bills. My dad and we would go to every Bills game when I was a kid. That was just what we did.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the way that it was. And I love the Buffalo Sabres. And I'm still a Sabres fan. That's my team.
Absolutely, and they're doing good too. Jack Eichel is absolutely playing out of his mind. He has a point streak going on for himself right now.
He's the guy. He's got the team on the shoulders. He's the guy.
Absolutely. Hey, who was your idol growing up, and who's your idol in the sports media business?
Yes. So for sure, the ladies I looked up to the most were Hannah Storm and Andrea Kramer. They were the two that I admired the most, and I learned by watching them. And then they were highly established by the time I was starting out, and they're the two that influenced me the most. And I still admire them to this day. And then, dreams do come true because then you get a job at CNN and you get Hannah's desk. So, those things are not a coincidence. There's an order to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the ladies that I certainly admired the most. I'm aware of the Robin Roberts of the world. I love her.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, those two ladies.
Absolutely. What's it like working with Meredith Marakovitz?
Oh, she's great. She's great. She's a fun person and a good person. So, she's an awesome colleague.
Heck, even a girl like Susan Waldman, too, right? She's a pioneer.
Love
in
her,
right.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a true pioneer. Oh, my goodness. Yes, to meet her, I remember it was, wow, this is really Susan Waldman. I heard so many stories, and here she was. And she's great to us both, and she's a wonderful lady. She's just a wonderful lady. And she loves it, too. That's one thing that I love about her is that you can see it's about the love. Let's face it, some people that do what we do, it's for various reasons, whether it be notoriety, who knows,
Right.
Everybody beats to their own drum, right? But Susan loves it, and I love that about her because I do too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're all pioneers in their own right. Even yourself, you're a pioneer.
Thanks.
You really are.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You
Well, I
re-
really, really love what I do. I'm highly committed. I hope the love shows when you see me work, when you see me broadcast. I hope it shows.
It always shows. It always shows.
Thank you. I respect what I do. I respect the people that I cover. I'm about celebrating their accomplishments And there's nothing better than watching people that are great at what they do, the best at what they do, and do it well, because that's an inspiration. We can all strive for that ourselves in
Yeah.
our world, you know?
Yep.
And I've learned so much. There's nobody can be in the moment like an all-star athlete. And that's another thing you can take into your daily life. So it's multi-layered. Sports is a brilliant thing. I encourage everyone to do it. Figure skating taught me a lot about myself and being competitive, yet having dignity and all of that sort of thing. And that's why I feel at home with the Yankees, because I feel a match.
Yeah, Nancy, you've been doing great during your tenure with the Yes Network and with CNN. Real quick though, do you see like any future like women like coming up in your field right now? I know for MSG with the Islanders we have Shannon Hogan. Shannon Hogan, I'm sure you probably heard of her. She's very good at what she does with the Islanders and with MSG Networks, along with Jennifer Bottrill and all those. But do you see like anybody coming up in a sense like that's like a young pioneer that you've seen?
I think there's so many now. I mean, I think even with guys, sometimes it's personal taste. Who do you like and why or why not? But I think there's a lot of terrific men and women coming up now in these days. And there's a lot of forums to grow up in. Look at these podcasts. Look at you, Will. You never know, right?
Yeah, you never know is right.
Right. What do you want to do moving forward?
Well, for those of the people that don't know that listen, I'm an electrician with Local 3. This is like a side hustle for me. I've always loved sports. I always like talking sports. I'm sure you probably heard a couple of my podcasts and episodes and everything like that. So this is more of as like a side hustle for you never know what might come into. You never know what might come into fruition. And like you said earlier, if you speak it into existence, it's going to come. So that's something that might happen.
Yes, that's the way it works.
Yep.
Even when you don't know you're doing it.
Absolutely, Nancy. Nancy, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate you and your time, sacrificing out of your day, especially after the long day that you've had covering Geritt Cole. But just real quick, how do the people follow you on social media?
Oh, it's easy. Both on Twitter and on Instagram, I'm at Nancy Newman, yes.
That's awesome. Nancy Newman, yes. I like that.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome.
Thanks, Will.
No problem, Nancy. Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate this.
Okay, great job. All the best to you. And just keep speaking it into existence.
I love it. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you again. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
And a happy
You too,
holiday.
Spencer.
Yep, he says happy holidays too.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Nancy, thank you again.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was the one and only Nancy Newman from the Yes Network, and she is a joy to listen to, and she brings some quality content. And not only that, she's a wonder. She's an absolute marvel, and she's a pioneer at what she's doing right now and what she has done, not only at Yes, but for all the females around working in the sports and television industry as well. So, Nancy, I applaud you for that, for doing your job and doing it well. For everybody here at Gotham Podcast Studios, for Spencer, our wonderful producer, controlling the ones and twos behind the glass here at Gotham, and for Nancy Newman for coming on. She's had a long day, I know, covering Geritt Cole and talking to me, but all good. Nancy, you did a wonderful job today. Thank you. And for everybody here at Gotham, I'm your host, Will Chiarucci, logging out. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.